Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. And today we have a matchup from the group stage of Elite League Division A, and it's going to be between Guru, Skippy, and Adila. Our first map is going to take place on Volcan Pits. This is Volcan Pits, right? Anyway, our first player, Guru Skippy, going to be playing as that sneaky orc commando knob who has bombs, guns, knives, etc. His opponent is going to be Adila, playing as the Tech Marine. This is a Space Marine ranged hero with a gun for every occasion, can also repair vehicles. So this will be the second match that I'll be casting from the Elite League. I want to try to cast a few more of these. The progress of the Elite League, I think the group stage actually ends in about 10 days or so, and then they go on to the playoffs. A lot of the matches are all done. So many great matches. Won't be able to cast all of them, but I'm going to try to cast as many of the good ones as I can. And our players here, we've got Guru Skippy, who is... I think this is basically his best hero, this Kommando knob. When I think of Guru Skippy, I definitely think of him as a Kommando knob player from way back when. So, part of the way, as I think I briefly mentioned in the last cast from the Elite League, is that every player in the Elite League, they pick a pool of 5 heroes for themselves, but they can only play each hero once in a series. So Guru Skippy is going to be playing his, what, as far as I know, is his best hero, the Kommando knob. Even whether he wins this game or he loses this game, it won't be available to him in the next game, and he'll have to pick a different hero. Adila is normally someone who I think of as an Eldar player. Here he's playing the Tech Marine. And that being said, you know, a lot of the good players in Elite Mod, especially a lot of those players that would be in Division A, they're going to be proficient in many different heroes in this game. So, scouts were in cover, able to tank some damage. Then they actually lose a model in retreat, even just from the range fire from unupgraded shooters. Oh wow, Kommando knob opens fire. I thought he was going to use a stun bomb out of infiltration, but I think he's just counting on the advantage of numbers, actually ties up the tactical marines with the Kommando knob, also allows the sluggers to get in, and that is one tactical marine model down, which that's a pretty good win for Guru Skippy. He did lose one shooter boy in that, but tactical marine models are just pretty expensive, as we see, costing 75 requisition just to replace one of them. So that's why you really don't want to lose your tactical marine models. So Guru Skippy off with a bit of a minor lead at the start. He has the lead in victory points, was able to destroy the node on Adila's power as well as get a decap. Now, part of the reason this is that Adila did kind of have weak early game map presence. I guess the correct word would be forewent. He did not get a second scout squad, even though that's pretty typical in 1v1 games when you are playing Space Marines. Instead, choosing to get 2 tac squads, and this is something that I would describe as atypical. And in team games, of course, you can just rely on your teammates to buy your generators for you. But this is a rather requisition-heavy opening for Adila. It should delay his power in comparison to Guru Skippy. And Guru Skippy has now gone for the Pain Boy, a tier 1 purchase that at this time I'm coming to regard as very typical. I'm seeing this a lot from orc players getting this Pain Boy in tier 1. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's really just like the best choice you can possibly make for your 4th tier 1 unit. That Pain Boy, providing you sustain, will help you counteract some of the bleed that you will inevitably suffer, since orcs are a squishy race. It's not like Space Marines, where if you really control things, you shouldn't be losing tac models. Instead, I mean, even just right there, we saw three sluggo models go down. It's very much guaranteed that you are going to lose orc models. It's gonna happen as long as you're fighting, and you should be fighting at some point. And Space Marines are going to be very good at bleeding orc models while taking relatively few in return. The tacs are going to be great at that. The Space Marine is going to be fantastic at that, since he does almost as much damage. Well, probably more like his damage is... It's actually, I'd say, a little bit more than the damage that two... No, actually, it's about as much damage No, sorry. Sorry for the flip-flop back and forth, but the Tech Marine does a little bit more damage than I think 2 TAC models would. And, of course, the Tech Marine will not bleed no matter what unless he is killed entirely. So we see the Tech Marine upgrading with Bionics, and this is a war gear. I don't feel like I see this war gear that often. It is a melee counter war gear because it gives him the powerful sweep ability. And it's just an area of effect disruption ability. Very, very good. It would be fantastic against something like Sluggaboys, especially the squishier melee squads. But the truth is the disruption is helpful against really any melee squad. Is also just going to help make him tanky, which is also just going to help him to work on like bleeding shooter models. He can just shoot them from a distance, tank a lot in return. He gets extra health and health regeneration. Does also increase his melee damage, which could hint that Adila might be going for a melee Tech Marine, but it isn't like necessary. I don't think he needs to go for a melee Tech Marine just because he got Bionics. I actually like very much the idea of keeping the Tech Marine in range, even with Bionics, because of that tanking ability that I said. If he gets in cover, although there he was just kind of getting overwhelmed. Double shooter boys, both of them with big shooters. Pain Boy was also coming to tie up the Tech Marine. Scouts really don't want to be tanking out in the open, though. They don't want to just be eating range fire if they're not behind cover. So, and then we actually see a Flamer equipped on the Tactical Marines. Of course, that's only one of his Tactical Marine squads. That will give him generator bashing potential if he can ever make it, which so far he has not. Victory points are even, but to me it has felt like Skippy has been winning most engagements. And I think the main reason that Adila's staying in this game, and it's not going to be like an early loss for him, is that he did not insist on rebuilding his power on this power node, because Skippy was very consistently running his basically all of his squads over here looking for a generator bash. Now he's realized that Adila has actually put his generators on this power farm, but he definitely realized it a little bit late. So he's going for the engagement at this point. Tactical Marines, although they're in melee with the Kommando knob, they would eventually win that, but it does buy time for the Sluggas to get into melee. Sluggas are going to be enough to force the Tactical Marines into retreat. And we do see here that this time the Tactical Marines will get out without losing a single model, which is really the ideal case for Space Marines, since it actually is realistic. Oh my god, is that really going to be a third TAC squad? It is. It's going to be a triple TAC build. This is not common this is not common ever, to be honest. Even in 3v3, I would say, whoa, triple tax? That's strange. But especially in 1v1. Now, I mean, the good news is certainly the tax, they're good against the shooter boys, especially if they can be in cover. And then putting a sergeant on one of them would actually give you at least one TAC squad that might actually be able to contend with the Sluggaboys in melee, especially if And They Shall Know No Fear is charged. But there we see another one of those TAC models will go down. Every single one of those TAC models hurts quite a bit to the cost of 75 requisition, as we saw earlier. This Tactical Marine squad, I think this needs to just be an instant retreat. I don't even know if, I mean, the Commando knob actually went to go in melee. I actually think he should have stayed in ranged, because I think he would have had a better chance of bleeding a TAC model if he had stayed continuing to shoot them in range. It's possible we still see a TAC model go down anyway if they're focused down by the shooters in retreat, but the shooters decide that it might be more profitable to take down a generator. So generator, those cost 100 requisition instead of 75, and of course you're disrupting your opponent's power income by destroying those. And we see the powerful orc generator bashing, just the raw DPS of those shooter boys, as well as these storm boys, not storm boys, slugger boys. However, there is a generator bash happening on the other side, so this actually roughly evens out at the moment, I think. Both players are now, both players already in tier 2, and their power income is now actually roughly even after all generator bashes are taken into account. Adila might even eventually have the slight advantage for a little while after he gets the decap, and maybe even eventually a full cap on this. Tech Marine potentially in trouble. Slugger Knob has also been purchased, so that's Slugger Knob. Very, very threatening in melee. Looks like one of these TAC squads will actually be a squad of Stern Guard veterans. but all of them are going to have to retreat because if they don't have and they shall know no fear ready to use, I don't think they contend with an upgraded Slugger squad in melee. Just massive, massive DPS on a Slugger squad. Despite being, you know, tier 1 squad, they're actually your baseline squad. Unless the DPS values have been changed, I'm pretty sure Slugger squad with a knob does over 200 DPS. It's a mix of melee and power melee, but just the base value is so high that it has to be respected. So Weird Boy is out for Guru Skippy, as well as some tank busters. Well, they're not out yet. They're actually on the way. Razorback is out for Adila. So both of our players are now playing with very, very minimal power. So they have to really be very careful about what upgrades and unit choices they make at this point, since with both of their power income disrupted, they can't reasonably expect to make a power-heavy purchase in the near future, and losing the squad of scouts unfortunately hurts very, very much. That's some of the repairs gone away from the Razorback. Razorback is actually going to go down. That's so close, 21 hit points. I thought those final... Oh, but we have... That is the Warpath ability, or rather upgrade from the Weird Boy. And that Warpath ability, it looks kind of funny, but it allows him to move faster as well as increase the speed of nearby infantry. He was trying to use that to speed the tank busters in, because only one more volley would absolutely have finished off the Razorback. The Razorback already upgraded with extra armor. So a little bit surprising to see Adila lose his scouts like that. And although I don't normally like... there is a part of me that wishes we could have spectator chat disabled, and maybe there is, and I just need to find it. However, in this case, we do see a very good comment in the spectator chat that I think is very helpful, that the Kommando knob has a Hide the Boys Global, that you can use that to infiltrate any squad you want. And using that on tank busters would be a good way to try to deal with the Razorback. Just catch it unaware, and then also probably get some easy rear armor shots, rather than going for a linear approach of just having the Slugger Boys right in front with the rest of your army. Sorry, not the Slugger Boys, I meant the tank busters there. So Adila is now actually moving ahead in terms of victory points, 402 to 294. He's got a much smaller army, but I think head-to-head, if it's not the Kommando knob, the tax, especially the Stern Guard veterans, and then also I think even just this tax squad here without the Flamer, they're going to be winning head-to-head to a lot of individual orc squads. Certainly mainly the Shooter Boys. The Stern Guard veterans going to be very good for focusing down the Sluggers if they are not in melee with them. And then the Techm has gone for an upgrade. He has gone for the Mastercrafted Bolter. Probably going to see the high-powered shot used soon, I think. No? I'm actually a little surprised there. Seemed like he was just kind of dropping his micro. We even had retreats seeming to come a little bit late. I thought we were going to see high-powered shot go in on the Slugger Boys, pin them before they could get close. And then where are the Stern Guard veterans? Stern Guard veterans are actually over here. So we actually see a melee Techm. Sorry. Oh, my God. A melee Kommando knob. And I actually do like that a lot in this case. One of the big problems with Adila's army after losing his scouts is that he now lacks detection. So the Kommando knob, he ties up at least, well, he ties up basically one tax squad for free. Ideally, I think he would want that to be the Stern Guard veterans. Wow, that's very brazen play by this Razorback, actually moving right up to some tank busters. They were infiltrated with Hide the Boys, but he was going right up to them. He had the repair support from the Techm, and I think he was just going to try to bleed some of their models. Even being willing to tank some of those tank buster rockets for understanding that he would outtrade as long as he was getting Techm repairs. So still Adila with the massive victory point lead, even though his army is quite a bit smaller. Guru Skippy apparently just kind of struggling. Unfortunately, the Kommando knob in this case is caught without infiltration. He's just going to walk up raw and just walk right up to them, but there he will get stunned. Sorry, not stunned. He will get suppressed by the Tech Marine, and there he does just need to retreat. So I like the melee Kommando knob, but he needs to find himself actually using it to ambush, I think. Razorback will have to move back here. Tank busters are going to approach, and this is going to be a lost engagement for Adila. Uses bionics to slow the approach of those sluggers, but he slowed the approach of the sluggers, but then he didn't retreat this tack squad out of there. They could lose another model from the slugger boys. And we see the Razorback taking a lot of damage from the tank busters, but is able to just drive on back out of there. And They Shall Know No Fear has been active, so they are doing some special attacks to the Slugger Boys. Slugger Knob did a special attack in return, but there's also so much support from the range fire of these double shooters here that I think these Stern Guard veterans do have to get out of there. Aiming What's That goes in on the tack squad. Adila starting to be pushed back into his base. Having trouble getting out. Oh, wow. He actually managed to save up for a Dreadnought. Amazing. That's such a power-intensive purchase. But I guess it's just been enough time where even on the relatively low power income of plus 24, he's able to eventually get a Dread out. That's actually so close to taking out the Weird Boy. I think the Weird Boy eventually does live. Now, I wonder if we will see an upgrade on this Dreadnought. Adila actually not really lacking power at the moment, so he can afford an upgrade on the Dreadnought if he wants. And Adila, one of the things we're going to see about Adila's resources, though, is that his requisition income is so incredibly low. And it's so low, aside from needing to get requisition on the map. I think he just has a lot of upkeep from all these tack squads, the Dreadnought, compared to Guru Skippy, who actually has more units, but much better requisition income. But could also have something to do with that. He does have an additional requisition point that does give him an additional plus 30. And actually, yeah, maybe I'm wrong about that upkeep, because if this requisition point is traded and allowed to mature, their requisition incomes would suddenly kind of flip. So Death Dread coming out for Guru Skippy. Doesn't exactly win head-to-head to the Dreadnought, except for the fact that now the Dreadnought is upgrading to the Assault Cannon. Now, on the one hand, I do actually like the Assault Cannon Dread quite a bit. Actually, I think even though that does put the Death Dread in a little bit of a... Sorry, the Dreadnought in a weaker position in terms of meleeing the Death Dread head-to-head, I think the Assault Cannon would absolutely be brutal against the Shooter Boys. Like, if the Dreadnought finds the Shooter Boys, it can basically shoot at them with impunity. There are Tank Busters, of course, but now the Tank Busters are going to be overtaxed. As it is, the Tank Busters have not been able to take out the Razorback, so there's no way they're going to be taking out both the Razorback and the Dreadnought unless there's just like a massive micro failure from Adila. But Adila is a good player, so he's got some high-level micro. And of course, we have the Barrage, which is something that can be used to, which actually can just be used directly on the Tank Busters. Would get a lot of value on the Shooter Boys, but I think the best value is to use it directly on the Tank Busters. There, we're going to see it actually used on the Sluggers. I like it on the Sluggers, too, because then then there's not much melee threat coming out of Guru Skippy. And this melee Tech Marine so far has not done quite as well as I thought it would, or as well as I wanted to. But I think he's also using it more for capturing at the moment. So Double Cap will soon go back in favor of Guru Skippy. Missile Launcher is equipped on one of these Tactical Marine squads, and of course the Stern Guard veterans can switch to Vengeance rounds to do some damage to the Death Dread as well. So this Death Dread does need to be careful. Another thing that the Dreadnought can do... Oh, man, I mean, those Tank Busters, they're not tanky at all. They're just so weak that he's able to even just walk up with the Death Dread. Oh, wow, 2 Death Dreads. I didn't see that myself. Man, Guru Skippy has a lot of units. Neither one of those Death Dreads even fitting in the unit tab. Tactical Marines will get another Missile Launcher off, and I think one of those Death Dreads, this one right here, should eventually go down. It's so low, but it's also taken out a lot of Tactical Marine models. Tactical Marines finally retreat. But one Death Dread does go down. Dreadnought, Space Marine Dreadnought in a bit of trouble. It's being targeted by the Death Dread. Will it go down? Is there some Blessing of the Omnissiah, or is it not ready or available to use at the moment? Space Marine Dreadnought will go down, not even having the Tech Marine available, even just for ability-based repairs. Was that a sync kill? Did I miss a sync kill there? I'm not even sure, but both Dreads, sorry, technically all 3 Dreads, the Dreadnought and the 2 Death Dreads, will go down. Tactical Marine's going to be a little bit in trouble in retreat, but the Truda Boys might be losing models first from the Razorback. It's funny, neither of these players, actually, it does look like Guru Skippy's starting to rebuild some of his power income over here, but Adila basically not even bothering these players, actually just duking it out. It's just a tier 2 slugfest. I think that's an old term, or an old expression. Hide the boys used, but eventually, oh no, the sluggers, it's not the sluggers. I don't know why I keep calling these guys sluggers. Oh no. And a barrage used and completely missing. Strictly just a waste of red there, since orcs do use red even with a lot of their unit-based abilities. Victory points have actually been evened out a bit for Guru Skippy, with Adila having the lead in most of this game. Painboy attempting the decap here, needs to heal himself, but the heal does interrupt the cap. Alright, Painboy will just retreat. Sluggers are now in melee. Bionics, yeah, we're going to see, yeah, there's that powerful sweep right there. That powerful sweep is quite good just at dealing with melee units. And They Shall Know No Fear is active as well. Pretty good as a melee counter, but one of those Stern Guard models will go down. It's reinforcing from the Razorback. Needs to be careful, though. Alright, Tech Marine is doing pretty well there, but eventually he will need to retreat. And, well, I mean, at the moment, it's a pretty even game. Tactical Marines are in cover, but there's also just too much for them to deal with at the moment, and they're taking those they're getting suppressed by aiming what's that, and then they hit, and then a Weird Boy shot just hits them head on. Weird Boy's basic attack is just basically like a plasma cannon. It knocks back, it does plasma cannon damage. So since it does plasma cannon damage, it actually does bonus damage to Tactical Marines. I mean, it's just a good all-around attack, but I think it's going to be very good against, I mean, even just there, taking chunks out of their health. Of course, he attacks rather slowly, much like any plasma cannon, kind of. Much like any plasma cannon. Oh, I think that's And They Shall Know No Fear active again. Kommando Knob needs to be careful there. He does get a heal from the Painboy, and he is regenerating some of that health. And They Shall Know No Fear probably going to deactivate soon, but not before getting another special attack on the Painboy. Yet another one. It's a 50% chance to do special attacks. Of course, they attack quite a bit. That one does not come from And They Shall Know No Fear. That was just a lucky special attack proc. Painboy gets another heal, but another special attack comes out from the Tactical Marine squad. This will be Adila. He's going to try to take this victory point, but I think soon he's going to be overwhelmed. Stern Guard veterans were in cover, but that Weird Boy shot is actually great at dealing with these Tactical Marines or Stern Guard veterans in cover. Just knocks them over, knocks them out of cover, does a nice chunk of damage to them. And it does like Guru Skippy. Oh no, Guru Skippy actually going to lose the... He does lose the Kommando Knob. I'm actually really surprised that even happened. And it's going to be Guru Skippy calling a full retreat. Man, Guru Skippy is not having an easy time of it taking out this Razorback. However, he is about to put a unit out on the field that should be superior to it. Adila has managed to keep hold of these victory points despite having a smaller army for the whole game. So we're now going to see a looted tank come out. Now, looted tank should just be able to I forget the speed of the looted tank, so I don't remember if it's able to, if it has the same speed as the Razorback or if it's a bit slower. But, I mean, either way, wherever the looted tank goes, the Razorback just can't really be there. Not for long, at least. Since it will just be able to do damage to the Razorback without really taking any in return from the Razorback. Of course, the Razorback could have a missile launcher attack squad inside, but we finally see something new from Adila, choosing to get Devastator Marines. And I think this is a good purchase. I think it's a timely purchase. Probably, I don't think he's even seen the looted tank yet, but it also helps him to respond to the looted tank, whether he wants to get a las cannon or vengeance rounds, and it's immediately going to be a las cannon upgrade. I think Guru Skippy needs to know, though, that he's going to be using the tank's boom shot on the Devastator Marines. That makes so that they don't automatically have the ability to target them with a las cannon, and it actually is going to be the Razorback going down. I'm really surprised to see that too. So looted tank is kept alive, Razorback is down, and Adila is left with 3 tac squads and a Devastator Marine squad. I'm not sure if this is really a great army to fight against Guru Skippy, who actually has a very varied army that can do many different things. And yet, Adila still has the control of the map. It won't be in his control for much longer, though. Guru Skippy going to be looking for this decap. I think he'll get the decap, but then it should be an immediate retreat. Yeah, I mean, he would lose the squad if he did not retreat there, so it had to be a retreat. It was either retreat or lose the squad. So that buys Guru Skippy some time, while he also sets up the capture on the contested victory point. Unfortunately, has lost his Kommando knob. I feel like his army is so big at this point that his priority should actually just be getting the Kommando knob back. And I feel like he should also be at the point where I was going to say where the cost of the Kommando knob has gone back down to 250. However, he does need to keep up with reinforcements, and that's going to be probably one of the tough parts. Having trouble even fully reinforcing this shooter squad. Commandos out on the field too. So wow, looted tank and commandos. Guru Skippy again with such a huge army. 2 additional units beyond what the unit tab can even show, and he can do that because he's got some high-level micro. Sneaky commandos, where are they going? At this point, they can't really just get a decap here, even though they cap a little bit faster. They would be sniffed out. Could use aiming once out, though. Instead, they'll just straight up open fire on the Tactical Marines, but then they'll probably have to kite back, because I think that Flamer will do quite a number on them. Weird Boy shot goes in, though. Pain Boy is going straight in, but he's going to get knocked back by the Tech Marine. Pain Boy's in a lot of trouble. He might go down. All right, he probably won't go down, but that damage over time, the Hellfire rounds from the Stern Guard veterans, did scare me for a moment. So Guru Skippy now has a 2-to-1 cap, and it's another Dreadnought out of Adila. Oh, man, big shot from that looted tank. Actually just blowing up a Tactical Marine model. Guru Skippy now actually going to be squeezing Adila out of victory points. Bionics probably going to come in soon, though, from that Tech Marine. There is Bionics. Only knocks over 1 model. Actually 2. And the rest of them do retreat out of there. So Adila now having trouble coming back out on the field. It actually amazes me already that he had the victory point lead with a much smaller army for the whole game. I don't know. If I really have to put it like somewhat harshly, either Adila's just that good, or Guru Skippy's really just dropping his micro. I guess that wasn't even that harsh. Like, Guru Skippy's army is massive, and he still hasn't actually even revived his Kommando knob. Guru Skippy's army really is massive. He has 8 units, and his Kommando knob isn't even up. That's 8, not including the Kommando knob. It's a huge number in Dawn of War 2. Assault Cannon Barrage will go in. That Assault Cannon Barrage, that wasn't a great one. But he is now focusing down the Pain Boy. Pain Boy really needs to respect this. He's going to lose the Pain Boy. I think the Pain Boy does go down here. Oh, but the Dreadnought's starting to be tied up by Sluggas. That actually keeps the Pain Boy alive. I think the Assault Cannon, if the Dreadnought was not tied up, I think the Assault Cannon would have finished off. Sluggas will definitely get finished off there. 1-to-1 in victory points. Tactical Marine squad, though, just attempted a sneaky back cap. They won't be able to hold that for long, so Skippy should be getting the double cap again very, very soon. It has honestly been a rather strange game. Like, I feel like... Skippy has been in the better position in terms of winning engagements, and somehow he just got behind in victory points. I don't know, neglecting them somehow. And at this point, it really feels like Adila he can't really get back out of there. I mean, he's moving some units out, but not in sustainable ways. Like, he'll be able to maybe get a decap here. I don't even think he gets a decap. I think another shot from the looted tank threatens the kill. Yeah, I mean, I don't... Okay, he does get the decap, but it needs to be a retreat or he loses the Techm. Even that Bionics in retreat was a little ill-advised. I think he was assuming that he might lose the Techm in retreat if he didn't, but he moved the Techm over just a little bit, was tanking more ranged fire, wasn't in retreat because he needed to use the ability. It's evened out at 1-to-1, but for how long? Adila won't even have the ability to return his Techm, while Skippy has actually finally bought back his Techm. I think the game's probably going to end pretty soon here. It's a tough call. But knobs are moving forward. My god, knobs. I realized those sluggers were sacrificed so that Skippy could actually purchase knobs. Yeah, I think this is ultimately the game in favor of Skippy. Even though the victory points haven't ended yet. But he's just going to throw the weight of his massive army on top of Adila. He's going to use that to give his Kommando knob space to get the cap. Looted tank trying to chase down the Dreadnought. I mean, he's basically just walking into the base. He doesn't even have an answer for the Tarantula turrets, but the Tarantula turrets not even really targeting him. I don't know. The placement of those Tarantula turrets seems a little bit off on this map, this being a custom map that was made by a community member. That's a triple cap, and I don't see Adila with any way to come back out in time to get a decap that keeps him in this game. I think this is game one in favor of Skippy. He gets a decap, but, I mean, it's not going to do anything at this point. Just slowly counting this game down until Skippy does eventually win. Salt Cannon Barrage goes in, mostly just for fun at this point. And the Dreadnought does manage to stay alive. So long game, long start to our series. It will be Skippy going up 1-0, but this is a best-of-3 series, so Adila is still able to potentially come back in it. Let's see what he's going to have in store for us in Game 2. Welcome to Game 2 in our Elite League Division A series between Skippy and Adila. Map 2 will be Green Tooth Gorge Redux Fixed, I think. A lot of verbiage in the name of this map. Skippy this time, because players have to switch heroes, Skippy is now playing as the Ravener Alpha. Ravener Alpha is a tunneling, Tyrannid ranged commander, but he can also be a melee commander if you need him to. And Adila will actually be switching over to the Orcs himself, and he will be playing as the Mekboy. This is a teleporting ranged commander, good for harassment, can also repair vehicles. So, because there is a rule that players actually need to switch heroes every map, you really need to be flexible and versatile to actually be successful in the Elite League. Now, I actually saw a bit of Skippy's Ravener Alpha play on Indrid's channel in his series against Shoulder Mount, and if I'm completely honest, I gotta say I wasn't really impressed with his Ravener play. Maybe it was just Shoulder Mount giving him the business, but I'm a little concerned here for Skippy. I mean, I'm sure he could wipe the floor with me with his Ravener all he wants, but I think against someone like Adila, I'm a little worried for him right here. If anything, I think I would prefer to see Skippy just on another Orc hero. Just play Orcs, but just play one of the other heroes. There are 3 games in a best-of-5 series, so you can just play another Orc hero. Now, that being said, he's doing okay so far, but he has gone for triple Hormagaunts. Now, triple Hormagaunts offers a massive amount of early DPS, since melee units in general are just going to have higher base DPS than a lot of ranged units. Hormagaunts are so cheap that it's not too hard to put 3 out on the field. However, I'm also a little concerned about just dealing with that against Adila. We see a very, very fast electric armor upgrade. And that electric shock ability is great for doing area of effect damage to those Hormagaunts. We already saw the effect that it had on one of them. And then eventually, once the big shooters come in, I think that's going to be a lot of control to contain this triple Hormagaunt build. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Actually, I have some feelings. I'm not optimistic about it. I just don't want to, like, roast him too hard when the game is still underway. Ravener Alpha now going to be in melee, but he's all by himself, and it ends up just needing to be a retreat for him. So, Guru Skippy, once again, with the early... No, actually, no, I'm wrong. He does have an early victory point lead. I was saying once again when it was actually Adila who had the victory point lead for most of the last game. So, Sluggas and Shooters going to be moving out, just getting decaps in various places. I think Shooter Boys, not Shooter Boys, Slugga Boys, they actually don't even need to move back yet. Hormagaunts have not even attempted to approach, so they can actually just continue to capture this point, and this will soon be a double victory point capture, a 2-to-1 in favor of Adila. Mekboy just trying to go around to harass. Unfortunately, the Mekboy's starting DPS isn't great. He does a little bit less than a lot of other ranged commanders to start out. But, I mean, eventually he will bleed the Hormagaunts because the Hormagaunts realistically should never be able to catch up to them. And if they do actually get into range, he's just going to use the electric armor. In fact, I don't know what he's doing here, if he's just trying to bait them into use the electric armor. He even uses it on retreat, since it does do melee damage, does get a few of those models in retreat. Guru Skippy actually almost full on melee. He's got the Warrior Brood. Okay, just kidding. He made it a Barbed Strangler Warrior, so it's not full on melee. Going to be the Mekboy coming in to tie up those warriors. Would enable the Slugga Boys to get into melee, or at least make it so that they aren't going to get suppressed. When we saw an upgrade from Guru Skippy, oh boy, there is some more of that electric armor. He has the Toxic Miasma, or is it Miasma? I really don't know. Emits a cloud that does piercing damage in a radius of 7. So it's basically his own area of effect ability. Could be useful if the Ravener Alpha actually gets into melee. I'm actually not sure how I feel about that one. And it's starting to become a pattern that when I say I'm not sure how I feel, it means that I'm actually a little bit skeptical. Suppression will go in. Mekboy, I don't think... Oh, he does have electric armor ready. I was going to say, I don't think he has it ready. Or is it a channeled ability? I actually forget that. But either way, it certainly works just as an area of effect ability, and worked out very, very well there. I mean, pretty much wherever the Mekboy is, the Hormagaunts can't be. Oh yes, it does look like the way that the electric armor actually works is that it is a channeled ability. Basically, that you can keep using it as long as you have the energy for it. Hormagaunts, what are they doing? They have no health. And Guru Skippy is calling game over already. Well, that's a quick answer for Adila in this series. I'm not even quite sure what happened and why he just immediately, and at that point, just decided that the game's over. At least from, like, all ways we can measure it in terms of, like, most ways. He still has a power farm. He still has an army. I guess, I mean, it's mostly just decided that based on the composition that he had, that he felt that he just wasn't going to win any engagements against Adila. So, quick end to game 2, and we're already moving on to game 3. See you there. Well, here we go with game 3. Game 3 is going to be on Leviathan Hive. It's been so long since I've seen a game on this map. So many good games have happened on this map over the years. Guru Skippy is going to be returning on the Orcs, and after what happened last game, I'm kind of glad that he is returning on the Orcs. This time playing as the Mekboy, teleporting Orc Commander, good for harassment. And as we can see, also very good at countering, or very good area of effect damage as well. Alright, his opponent, Adila, this time going to be playing as the Warlock. And this is interesting. Typically, I think of Adila as an Eldar player. I'm not 100% sure. You know, I probably have to ask him what he actually feels is his strongest hero. This Warlock is going to be a melee commander. I don't have a good lock on this guy, but the Warlock melee commander can become a spellcaster or more of a melee tank, depending on what you want to do with him. So I feel better about Skippy being back on orcs. I just hope he's not too boomed, as we say, or tilted. Ooh, Destruction going to attempt to go out from Adila, but will whiff pretty much completely. Doesn't catch the Slugger Boys at all. And since that happened, he's finding himself just running back. I think he needs to retreat. He's trying to just straight up run out of there. Oh, he's trying to have the Howling Banshees come in. And I think he actually does have the better end of this engagement now with the Banshees. Banshees do not even have an aspect. Here comes the Shooter Boys to support. I don't know if it'll be enough damage. Tries to put the Banshees on the Mekboy. Overall, I think the micro war there was won by Skippy. Not a lot actually happened in terms of like kills, but we just saw a lot of decision making, bringing your units to the right place. And I thought that was actually pretty well played. Destructor there will actually connect. And is going to scare the Sluggers into retreating. They decide to not stick around for the Generator Bash because they don't want to lose any additional models. Shooter Boy is still walking around unupgraded for the time being. Don't see any upgrades whatsoever for Skippy. I'm now really worried about this too. Skippy. Okay, finally gets, because he didn't get any upgrades, and yet he was floating so much requisition. He could have noted both of these. They could have been noted a while ago, and he could have already had generators on them. I don't know if he was contemplating some kind of power purchase, trying to put out, I don't know, like a Luda Squad or something, or even a Pain Boy, but he hasn't. So I'm a little worried at this point. Seemed like he was a little behind in his micro. Okay, finally, yeah, he puts a full farm on this. Probably, I think it was just like a micro mistake. He was just so focused on managing his units that he forgot, and I think he recognized it in the end. So he was coming over here for a power bash. No, just kidding. I have no idea what I'm talking about. That's not what I meant at all. Okay, now we see a Guardian Weapon team out for Adila. Now, what is tricky about this Guardian Weapon team is it is tricky getting something like... It's just inherently harder to make any setup team work against a teleporting commander because they basically have the ability to counter a setup team pretty much just right out of the gate. You don't need to invest in Storm Boys if you don't want to, if you want to go some other kind of build, because you can just teleport in the Mekboy, and even though he doesn't do a lot of melee damage, he can tie them up, and that can just clear the way for the rest of your army. Howling Banshees now do have an aspect. They do use War Shout, but it's just too many orcs for them to deal with. They would eventually get suppressed by the aiming what's that, because these Shooter Boys now have big shooters. We even see, oh my, what a grenade on retreat. Actually, not on retreat, but used to cover the retreat. Still, 2 Dire Avenger models will go down, so it's not looking quite good for Adila at the moment. He is getting forced off the field. So Shuriken Cannon will get the suppression. But so will those Shooter Boys on the Shuriken Cannon, and eventually the Shuriken Cannon needs to get out of there. So it's now going to be a double Shuriken Cannon. So part of the idea behind this, this is probably the most common Eldar build in 1v1. At least it was a long time ago, and I mean, if we're seeing Adila actually go for it, maybe things have not even really changed. But yeah, just a common Eldar, very common Eldar build, the starting Dire Avenger, the Howling Banshees, and then the double Guardian Weapons teams. Part of the idea behind that is to layer the firing arcs, put one of your Guardian Weapons teams behind the other one. So that if the Mekboy does teleport in, he is teleported in right into the suppression arc of one of those. So probably this, yeah, we're going to see just the way one of them is set up directly behind the other. And he's set up in a position where he can bash. He's going to be moving up the Warlock. Warlock does throw a Destructor, gets a little bit of a hit. Oh no, he unset up the Guardian Weapon team. What happened? And then they were not ready to actually suppress those Storm Boys. Oh, because he was trying to suppress the Shooter Boys, because they were kind of around the firing arc. Ooh, Shooter Boys, will they go down there? I don't think they will go down, but it was a close call. They will get intercepted by the Storm Boys. and then they will just retreat out of there. Sorry, they won't retreat. They will actually just probably use Fleet of Foot to get out of there. Actually, I think they already used Fleet of Foot, and they just straight up ran out of there. So Adila with the double cap. He is actually going to tier 2. Different pace of this game with power incomes not being disrupted quite so much as they were in the other game. We're probably going to see Stormboy jump. Should happen now. The other Guardian weapon team is not there to support it, so it will just be a full retreat from Adila in that engagement. Webway has been put down, but will just as easily be taken down. Dire Avengers looking to focus down the Stormboys. Now, at the moment, the Stormboys don't have their knob, so it would actually be rather difficult for the Stormboys to really effectively jump on the Dire Avengers. If they look like they're about to jump, the Dire Avengers can always just use Fleet of Foot and actually run away. They won't get knocked back. They won't get stunned. And he's not even going to do exactly what I just said he could do, and he will actually just retreat. Oh, wow, so close to killing one of those Guardian weapons teams. Almost accomplished by that Slugger Boy squad. Generator bash is going to happen now. I think he'll get this one generator. Should get it. Shooter Boys should be able to finish it. But actually, it looks like the suppression arc is set up in a way that it is scaring them off. Howling Banshee's kind of unsupported. Moving it back. Where is that second Guardian weapon team? Yeah, because it's just going to get jumped by the Storm Boys. Second Guardian weapon team only just now coming out onto the field, but these staggered approaches by Adila is paving the way for Guru Skippy to just finish this generator bash here. We are going to see the Witchblade of Kurnos picked up by Guru Skippy, giving that ethereal slash ability, very powerful area of effect, melee counter ability. Going to use it in retreat here, but he might lose the Warlock. It's so close, and he does lose the Warlock. The Slugger squad is traded out. In the end, despite losing the Warlock, I think that actually ends up being a positive trade for Guru Skippy. Sorry, no, I meant to say for Adila. Adila can eventually just buy back his Warlock for 250 requisition, whereas those Sluggers, I don't even remember, but I'm sure they at least had, I think they did have the Slugger upgrade. They might have even had the Burnas. Like, if they had any upgrade whatsoever, that's a winning trade for Guru Skippy. And now it's going to be a Wraithlord coming out from Adila. So our Tier 2 purchases, blind Tier 2 purchases, War Truck going to be coming out for Guru Skippy. Oh no! It's going to be the Mekboy. Does he go down in retreat? Alright, I think he's kind of lucky here. Only one more sword swipe from the Howling Banshees should finish him off. However, they realize that they aren't catching up to him, so they retarget for the generator. Take about 40% of the health off the generator. But now the Storm Boys do have a knob, and that does mean upon landing, they will stun whatever targets they are right next to when they land. We did also see it looks like the Storm Boys were upgrading with Bomber Boys, a very interesting ability that you don't always see very often because it does mean sacrificing a model on the squad. A grenade goes in. I don't think, yeah, it didn't actually really get a clean hit on the Storm Boys. Did hit the War Truck, and the grenade does do light damage to vehicle armor. Not enough to really threaten it, and that will be easily repaired back up by the Mekboy, I suppose. Ooh, gonna be a Wraithlord with a Bright Lance. This Bright Lance on the Wraithlord does actually have 100% accuracy, fire on the move, so if it can stay in range of the War Truck, it can actually, consistently do damage to it. But the raw DPS of this Bright Lance is not particularly high at 20 armor-piercing DPS. I don't remember the exact number for the Guardian weapon team, but I think it is roughly double of what this Bright Lance Wraithlord does. Alright, meanwhile up here, it is going to be the Guardian weapon team. Was in melee with the Mekboy, who is now fully upgraded. He's got proximity mines. And it's always interesting, those proximity mines, they can actually be thrown, and you throw them in a pretty fast animation, which is quite a bit different from the Techm, who has to actually plant them and take time. Mekboy, oh no, Mekboy might go down in retreat here, and indeed he does. Rather unfortunate retreat path for Guru Skippy. This is a rather big turn for Adila. The game had been relatively even up to this moment. Guru Skippy even had the better end of power bashes. But losing the Kommando knob there, or rather the Mekboy, along with this Wraith Lord still being alive, this is going to be trouble for Guru Skippy. Guru Skippy is moving up with the war truck. He does have some tank busters, but perhaps the more important thing, oh, they're not even in the war truck. He doesn't have any repairs at the moment for the war truck whatsoever. He either needs a new Slugger squad, or he needs to revive the Mekboy. If he doesn't do either one of those, I mean, he needs to do one of those. He needs to, the problem that he has at the moment is that he effectively doesn't have he literally doesn't have a Mekboy. He literally doesn't have Sluggers, which means that he effectively does not have a war truck. War truck moving out here needs to be real careful. We have a webway gate built up here. If something comes out of that webway gate, it could potentially threaten the war truck. Now, I think on Adila's side, he might not exactly know what he's dealing with in those terms, so he might not know that there's no repair support whatsoever for the war truck. I think he could push his advantage a little bit more. Okay, Mekboy is revived, so there is the repair support for the war truck. So that makes things quite a bit better for Guru Skippy. Mekboy has been upgraded with the Beamy Def Gun to try to do some anti-vehicle damage to the Wraith Lord. Mekboy, I think, is the only hero in the game who actually has set-up weapons. I don't think any other hero in the game has set-up weapons. Dire Avenger's now potentially in a bad position. That Wraith Lord doing a lot of damage to these Storm Boys. Okay, Wraith Lord now actually in a rough position. I think Witchblade... Oh, no, he's going to just get the Warlock into melee with the... Oh my god, with the Mekboy. I think the Wraith Lord actually goes down here. Ethereal Slash will be used on the Storm Boys. Yeah, this is the end of the Wraith Lord. So well played by Guru Skippy, except that somewhere along the lines, he lost quite a few other units. I think he lost one squad of Shooter Boys. Looks like Adila will lose I think it was just one of the Bright Lances, though, or one of the Guardian Weapon teams. It's late. I'm having trouble talking. War Truck somehow is alive. And this will be a triple cap now for Adila, despite all of these engagement wins and unit wipes in favor of Guru Skippy. So Guru Skippy needs to get back on the map control because he won an engagement, but he's bleeding a lot of VPs in the process.
He's got 200 points left.
I mean, even just walking out there, the triple cap's still going against him, taking 3 victory points at a time. Or is it 2? No, it's 3. It's got to be 3. All right, he will finally be able to slow things down, slow the victory point countdown in his favor. He doesn't have control of the victory points yet. I'm not sure he'll even eventually get the triple. Grenade goes in very belatedly, and this Shooter Boy squad will have to get out of there. My god, he does not even get victory points ticking in his favor. Actually, he'll very briefly have a 1-0 cap here, but it will soon be overtaken by a double cap from Adila, who has just gotten some warp spiders. I think this is fantastic for Adila. I think the warp spiders are very good against most of what Guru Skippy has. They can jump away from the Storm Boys, or rather teleport away, so that they shouldn't normally be having to deal with the Storm Boys. They should just have the better end of the Shooter Boys, especially if they can find cover. Oh, there we see they teleported out but got stunned anyway. And of course they have a Haywire for the War Truck. This could be the end of the War Truck, except for the fact that Howling Banshees will need to get out of there. So War Truck will fight another day, but wow, that actually will be the Mekboy going down. Warp Spiders should be able to... Oh, man, I think they just used their teleport and they got jumped immediately after. Warp Spiders, wow, that was a really close call for the Warp Spiders, and they will get out of there with only one model left. So Adila still somehow keeping the edge in this game. It constantly feels like even when Guru Skippy has more units, he seems to be losing control of the map. Obviously, we saw that in Game 1. It seems to be happening again in Game 2. Bright Lance, I don't know what the Bright Lance is doing, actually. Okay, now it's finally just trying to capture the point. Warlock is actually meleeing the War Truck. And we actually do see him taking little chunks out of the War Truck's health. He has the Witchblade of Kurnos, which does power melee. So power melee does a bit more damage to vehicles than regular melee, but obviously not as much as heavy melee. Guru Skippy needs to respect this, otherwise he might lose his War Truck to the Warlock. So full upgrades on the Warlock at the moment. Ooh, this is not looking good, though. Actually, Storm Boys, I just remembered they're horrible at killing in retreat. Cloak of Shadows, as well as the Heart of Darkness. Oh, my. The War Truck being chased down again, this time by the Autarch. Banshees in melee with the... Oh, this should be the end of the War Truck. Is it? It's so close. Autarch manages to get in there. I think she finishes off the War Truck. That is crazy. It went so long without repairs. Guru Skippy never got another Slugger Squad. Wasn't even getting the repairs from the Mekboy. And he lost the War Truck. This has actually been a little strange in some ways. Anyway, it is going to be a Weird Boy out for Guru Skippy. Tank Busters, we will rename them to Gen Busters, as we can see there, or perhaps it would be better to say Node Busters. Oh no, I didn't like that by the Warp Spiders. They teleported in, which means free jump in for the Storm Boys. Bomber Boys goes in, disrupts the Guardian Weapon team, will enable them to get into melee, so good use of the Bomber Boys right there, that Bomber Boys ability. It's always been a tricky one because you sacrifice a Storm Boy model, and Storm Boys are notorious for bleeding. But the effect of Bomber Boys is certainly good. It's just a little bit costly because you're voluntarily giving up a Storm Boy model. Triple cap now for Guru Skippy. How long can he hold it, though? Big Warp Vomit into a Storm Boy jump. Just an immediate retreat from those Dire Avengers as well as the Howling Banshees. And again, I'm not liking this teleport aggressively with the Warp Spiders when there are going to be... oh my god! I was going to say, when there are melee units so close to them. Now, in that case, actually, that did work out because he did have the support from the Guardian Weapon team to provide that suppression. Maybe it was just a bait all along. So, Guru Skippy now going to Tier 3. He's definitely on the lower end. Oh! Did he mean to throw those right into the energy shield? That was a little bit strange. That didn't seem intentional to me. I thought he was going to throw that a bit farther. But I could be wrong. And wow, Adila is actually just coming back out on the field. Well, I mean, now Adila actually has more units. He's been having the better end of map control even when he has a smaller army than Guru Skippy. At this point, I don't know if if Guru Skippy will be able to keep up in map control if he actually has a smaller army. I mean, it's a triple cap very soon for Adila. Weird Boy nearly dead, but the suppression from aiming what's that does scare off the Autarch. Autarch choosing to fully upgrade. She gets the Executioner Spear and will even get the Force Shield to make her a bit tankier. Okay, the clock is really ticking for Guru Skippy at the moment. He needs... Okay, he finally starts the cap on that right after the Mekboy stops putting out proximity mines. But will he be able to win this here? Should be a pretty easy jump for the Storm Boys. Okay, Warp Spiders do get out in time. That will get rid of the Guardian Weapon team. Bomber Boys go in on the Warp Spiders, though. Knocks them down. Tank Busters will start the cap. Oh, no. Okay, he does actually... But now it's the Warlock. Did he even fully cap that? Or is this just the Warlock getting the decap here? It is the Warlock getting the decap. And I think this is going to now be the win in favor of Adila. Yeah, just like our spectators are calling, is going to be the win in favor of Adila. And despite that long, drawn-out first game where Guru Skippy took the win, it is going to be Adila finishing out this series 2-1 in his favor. Okay, we got debated there. Victory points, it's a 1-1. I don't know how much longer that Guru Skippy can hold on here, and in fact, he doesn't hold on much long after that. So now, we'll say it again. Will be Adila winning this series 2-1 in his favor.
He's about to blow it.
All right, that for real will be the end of this series. We'll be trying to come in with a few more of these Elite League games. They are great skill. I can barely talk now. Great skill, much micro from these players. Hope you had a good night. Just kidding. I mean, I hope you have a good night. Oh, God. I need to have a good night. So, good night, everybody.